Hey everybody, it's Wayne. Thanks so much for tuning in for another weekly portfolio update. In these updates, we get you guys a rundown on all the dividends that we received in the past week, get you guys a tally as to where we're at for the month of May. We'll talk about performance in both portfolios, M1 as well as Robinhood. And today we're going to give you guys a quick sneak peek into some of the stocks that I have pushed over from Robinhood to M1. So let's go ahead and kick things off with Robinhood, giving you guys the view from the Robinhood app on my phone. You guys can see the week began here on the 22nd. Not too much in the form of dividends in Robinhood. You guys will see Starbucks paid me out $53.35. Starbucks has been a very strong position for me. I own 100 shares. If we take a look here, my cost basis on those 100 shares is $78.74. So even though Starbucks has seen a downward turn here in the last 2 weeks, I still have 25% in unrealized gain. Again, if we look at the last week, look at the last month, they are down nearly 12%. But for the past 3 months, they are down 3%. I mentioned this in my last video. I would love to buy more shares of Starbucks, but it would have to reach low 90s, high 80s before I would even give it some real consideration. SPHD is a monthly payer. I have this both in my M1 as well as Robinhood. I actually have been writing covered calls on this position while it's in Robinhood. I've got a bit of a higher cost basis, so I have been writing these covered calls below my cost basis, but I've been able to successfully do so without being assigned. For those 100 shares, I was paid $15.12. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the chart. Currently, SPHD, the share price is $39.05. You guys can see I'm down about 16%. My cost basis per share, $46.50. If we look at the last year, they are down about 18%. Last 3 months, 10%. And for the last month, 6%. So the overall trajectory of the stock hasn't been doing good. You know, this is one of my monthly pairs. I'm not too concerned. They haven't cut the dividend. There hasn't been any concern about that. But of course, anytime you're down in a position, you're always going to go ahead and pay, closer attention. But that's it for the week of May 22nd. I only received 2 dividends, SPHD and Starbucks. Okay, bringing you over to M1, I did receive 3 dividends this past week. Things began on May 23rd. You'll see I received my first of 2 dividends from HTGC, the first one being for 37 cents. Its big brother was for $109.51, by far the biggest dividend payer this past week. And then as I mentioned before, I own SPHD, not only in Robinhood, but also M1, and I received $1.64, which means if we add up the dividends that I received in Robinhood and M1, Robinhood was for $68.47. M1 was for $111.52. Let's go ahead and update those spreadsheet numbers. So that puts my new updated total for Robinhood and M1 at $844.86. Again, I go back to when I first received January's dividend payments. That started things off very strong, in my opinion, at over $600. It turns out that January, in which I thought was the best month ever, is going to be now one of the smallest months in dividend earned income. You guys can see the biggest month so far has been March, nearly $2,000. May has officially become the second biggest month at nearly $850. And remember, today's the 27th. I actually expect to receive a few more dividends by the end of the month. I think that number will be closer to $900. I could be wrong on that. I didn't even expect it to be this high. So I'm pleasantly surprised about that. To date, I have earned $4,832. As you guys know, I've got a rather ambitious goal. I'd like to make $15,000. If we just look at the projections of where we're at, it doesn't seem that we will get there. I think this number would have to be closer to 55, maybe 6,000. But I am very optimistic, and I'm obviously daily cost averaging in my M1 portfolio, so I do expect those dividends to increase as well. As you guys also know, I have recently purchased some higher yield dividends to include Tesla, OARC, and Aptly. And that's a perfect segue into talking about a recent transfer from Robinhood to M1. So let's go ahead and show you guys the activity history in M1. You guys will see a couple of days ago, I initiated a transfer. I had 100 shares of ABR in my Robinhood, 17 shares of O Realty, 100 shares of OARC. This is YieldMax's ETF, and YieldMax also owned Tesla as well as Aptly. And I had 103 shares of Tesla and then 50 shares of Aptly. And I pushed all these over from Robinhood to M1. Here's the problem. ABR, I was able to transfer, no problem. O Realty, no problem. Tesla, no problem. But if we go here to portfolio, you guys will see here, I currently have some undesignated holdings. I have not yet updated my pies. Let's go ahead and view an update and look at this. It is saying that M1 does not support these two stocks, which is OARC and Aptly. So, I'm in a bind because one, it is my fault. I should have done some more research to ensure that M1 supported these stocks, but I am confused as to why Tesla, TSLY, why that stock would be supported. It's owned by YieldMax. It's essentially the same thing as Aptly as well as OARC. I don't understand why Tesla is accepted, but yet OARC and Aptly are not. So this is a real bummer. I'm going to have to reach out to M1 customer support. And I mean, my guess is they're going to say, yeah, sorry, we don't know why we support one but don't support these two, but they're not going to be able to help me. So I'm going to need to push these back over to Robinhood. My real fear, though, is in the meantime, if ex-dividend date were to be upon us, I'm not going to be able to receive any type of dividend credit for these two stocks. So I'm actually thinking it might be easier just to sell out these two positions. I know I'm up in my OARC position, but I'm down in my Aptly. So that might be something I do. We'll see what M1 says this week when I give them a shout, but I have a feeling it's going to take, I don't know. And I think even this transfer took about a full week for the process to be completed. But what can you do? Let's go ahead and give you guys a quick look at the portfolio. Currently, with those transfers that came over, my portfolio is at 129,000. If we look at the last week, I finished slightly down 0.63% or about $800. However, if we look at the total amount of holdings, you guys can see my cost basis is 129,000. My value, though, is 131,000. So this has gone up slightly, even from the past week. I think I was down like 4% because I kind of went on this tangent. We're like, I don't care about the price, and I kind of, when I listened to that back, I was like, yeah, that's not really the right thing to say. I do care about my gains and losses. I guess for me, I was just trying to make a point that right now, the only focus I have with my daily cost purchases is this long-term hold slice. Speaking of that long-term hold slice, we're getting closer and closer. You guys know I celebrate small goals to get those big victories, and we're getting very close. For the last three stocks, Union Pacific, Waste Management, and Texas Roadhouse, soon they will be a part of the $1,000 or higher club. Again, I go back to, I think it's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, so you guys will have to remain tuned in. Speaking of that increase in the performance, ABGO had just a fantastic week, right? If we look here at their chart, and I don't typically look at ABGO on the chart, but I think we can go to details here, and you guys will see just the last week. Things started off on the 22nd. Their share price was $678.78. It shot up, right? $100+ to $812.73. It shattered like 52-week highs, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It'll probably continue to do so in the following week. Now, ABGO is a position that I'm looking to build up long term, and I currently own a whopping 1.59 shares. But take a look at this, guys. My average cost basis. Remember, I've been daily cost averaging on this stock nearly every day since I began this in late December, early January. So my cost basis is $611. So you look at the current share price of $812.73. That makes me feel really good. Now, the reality, though, is now if you look at this allocation percentage, right, this is one of many stocks that's set to 7%. with that share price increase, it's now gone to 4.2. So in reality, AVGO will not be funded for quite some time, and instead, Lowe's, Visa, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, and the remainder, those are likely to be funded. And that's why I like M1. When you have, right, a really, really great green day like AVGO saw, it doesn't mean that the money keeps going, in those daily purchases, right? M1 is smart enough to realize, hey, let's go ahead and focus on the other stocks that are underweight from that target percentage. So that's how things shaped up in M1. And winding things down, let's go ahead and take a look here at the portfolio performance for Robinhood. You guys can see currently between brokerage and my cash in my Robinhood, I'm at $379,000 for the week. I was up just slightly at 0.60%, or about $2,200. If we look at the last month, I think things have been going pretty good. I'm up 3.22% for the last 3 months. I'm at 7.09, and then year to date, guys, things are looking really good. I am up 19.46%. With that incredible run up that technology saw this past week, I had a lot of technology stocks see significant increases, and so my all-time value, I am now down only 1.82%. It would not surprise me if you guys see this number go into the green. Let's go ahead and give you guys a breakdown on what portion of this is cash versus which is stocks and options. Again, the overwhelming majority at 94%, that's 357,000. Remember, that number is gone down because I also transferred close to 6,000, maybe 7,000 of stocks out of Robinhood. So essentially I've just moved, money from, one brokerage to the other, but technically, right, this number has gone down. The brokerage cash is the issue that I'm having. I'd like to get this closer to 30,000. The biggest issue that I've seen in the last couple of months, I've had to draw down on this pretty significantly to pay taxes, pay some bills, and I also funded both my wife and I's Roth IRA. That in itself was $25,000. Speaking of which, I am looking to push out an update, my first update on my new series that I've titled Race to 100. It's going to be a good one, guys, so be on the lookout for that one. I think I'm going to get an update closer to the end of the month, so maybe the 31st, June 1st, you guys should see a video on that. But with that, we covered some great stuff. I hope you guys are having a fantastic and safe weekend. We're going to go ahead and see you on the next one. Take care.